AskReddit by Citizen of Leshp. What is a subtle sign that someone's life sucks? They don't get excited to go home after work, find reasons to stay at work longer. Deleted. They look tired, absolutely energy low powered, and sometimes they give the best advice to others that they should use for themselves. Welp, I guess my life suck. When they look for happiness in other people, and their whole day can be ruined if a certain person says or does something that they don't like. This describes me heavily. Sometimes, when they seem less excited or stop doing things they used to love, it might mean things aren't going well for them. After someone really close to me died, I quit my job and broke a lease on short notice, started a job in a new city, and quit all my hobbies for almost 2 years. I can't even explain why, I just snapped and convinced myself that nothing mattered. They have advice, good advice, for people who've just experienced trauma. Or for how to handle oddly specific and fucked up situations. Yeah, I always feel sad when someone acts really well adjusted and mature after a horrible event. Shows that they have experience sadly. They look tired every time you see them. They are very interested in what you've got going on, but don't really share themselves. They are distracted. I feel that on a personal level. I worked in a large office environment for 30+ years, and over time I observed that the people who had hard lives often were the ones who were hyper into things like office Christmas or birthday parties. I think it was often the only celebrations they got to be part of. Wow. Over here over planning a Christmas lunch and avoiding going home. It makes sense. Disproportionate reactions. Their reactions to most things are normal or even low-key, but occasionally they have a huge response to something minor. Key sign of trauma. Why does that happen? I freaked out once over something so minor. I felt terrible about it and was very apologetic, but I could not understand even my own reaction. This might be a weird one, but people who are constantly unfazed. Bad things will happen, like the kind of bad things that make everyone freak out, and they just coast like it's just another normal day. I've seen enough shit since I was a kid. Once you learn to control that initial adrenaline rush and your fight or flight response, you'll be fine. Just takes experience. Super independent because they learn not to rely on anybody. Yup. That's a pretty good indicator for life, even if ages ago, pulled the rug out from under them. No safety nets. They are just trying to hold it together, but close friends and family can see the cracks. Just be nice to everyone, you might not see the cracks yet. Then there are those fuckers armed with a hammer and chisel. Misappropriated anger. My mental health has been terrible all year, and I have absolutely found myself being so angry at people who did nothing to deserve it. It's not even by choice, not saying I can't control my actions, just my emotions. I just am so mad at myself and the world and circumstances and how I feel. Every minor inconvenience feels like another personal fuck me, so my anger is way overblown. That's really nice of you to ask. Not everyone is bombastic. Some people are disheveled and isolate themselves because they are unhappy and they don't know how to deal with people. Too close to home lol. They nonchalantly talk about traumatizing things like it's no big deal when everyone else is horrified. This is me when I was younger. Mostly because I didn't realize how many things in my life were so abnormal. If you ask them what their life would be like in a perfect world, they can't even come up with an answer. They are too lost to even think about it. Or they are so mired in cramp that they give the first thing they think of, often specific and small, like sink would be fixed. When shit hits the fan and everybody is running around waving their arms screaming, you can spot them. There will always be one guy who just sorta looks a bit tired, rolls up his sleeves and starts methodically fixing the things within his power to do so whilst just blatantly ignoring the catastrophe around him. To everybody else the end is nigh. To him, this is Tuesday. The most annoying part is that, in addition to dealing with the crisis at hand, you also have to deal with people's panic. Most people are not even completely useless in situations like this. Their contribution is negative. They wince if anyone around them moves quickly, or apologize a lot. The maturity with which they handle unexpected events. Took me a long time to realize that my mother saying I was wise beyond my years was maybe not actually a good thing. That and when did you become the adult here? For me, the cleaning and house duties start slacking. Dishes stay in the sink overnight. I haven't swept for a while, but my faux face is on, bright and happy. I know by the state of my lawn, manicured weekly, my mental health is great. Then the worse it gets, the worse my MH is. Go figure. They become invisible people when they can. They are polite, keep to themselves, but disappear into their home and don't engage with others because it's draining and or mentally exhausting. They may or may not feel lonely, but realize that life has hit too many times, and all they want to do is feel safe and quiet at the end of their day. I feel called out. They read posts like this one to see if they are there. Goddamn, you got me. When they come into work on their day off. When they seem to live vicariously through movies, TV, TikTok. They don't talk about what's happening to themselves. They talk about what they saw someone else do, real or fictional. Follow up: most of us do not a plethora of adventures like Indiana Jones. But we should all strive to lose ourselves and find ourselves in something besides someone else's life or imagination. Take a trip. Do a 10K. Get a side gig where you meet crazy people. Create a really cool cosplay. Oh no. You say, how's it going? They say, it's going. They are dead inside. Same as always, but hanging in there, barely. Can't complain, because no one wants to hear it, or it's all my fault. But on the plus side, if you answer like that all the time, people think it's just how you talk and they don't think about it. Or they just don't care. It is fairly common for people with depressions to be extremely helpful and supportive for other people. So if you have a friend who helps you, maybe you should have an eye on them too. They become desperate for outside validation. This describes me even harder than declining everything. They drink a lot. Might not be subtle. When I drink, then most of the time way too much and too quickly. They always smile but their eyes are sad. I can't remember the last time I felt this called out. The upside is that people get a good impression. Downside is that they might eventually grow worried. Nothing phases them, like their house could be on fire and they are like, dang, wanna go smoke? Yeah, no. Crackhead outside my apartment complex threatened to kill me last week. All I could say was, "8, make it quick." He looked at me like I was the crazy one. Hasn't said jack to me since. When they choose to work as much as possible. Don't brush their teeth. Hygiene. Deleted. Well, let's see. I just realized that I haven't combed my hair in 3 days. I forgot to eat again today. I avoid conversation with people that I love. There is nothing in the world so damned important that it can't be put off until tomorrow. Damn, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's depressing. They perceive a neutral stimulus in a negative way. For example, those group of people just laughed. They must be bitching about me. 2 girls, colleagues of mine, laugh to themselves in the vicinity of the new guy at work. There was no reason for him to ask me, are they laughing at my top? I still remember this vividly almost 15 years later, as it was so painfully insecure. The truly heartbreaking thing about this is how many of us are just reading vague descriptions of ourselves. Gonna be another hard day wandering through my head. They don't react to nothing anymore. They still compliment, feel things, show love, but it's subdued, like they've seen shit. And they got this stare like, bro, I get what you're telling me, but the shit I've been through, I don't got time for this. They are overly concerned about what other people are doing. Happy people just want everyone else to be happy. When people make it sound like their life is perfect, on Facebook. Whenever they go to a bar they are alone, and not even the drunk people will approach you because you look like you are either about to cry or punch a hole in the wall. I know this from personal experience. The amount of time they spend online. Me, scrolling on Reddit vs going to sleep. Losing weight not on purpose. True, my boss asked me if I was part of a special program or on a trendy new diet when we saw each other after about 3 months. Totally inappropriate of her, I know. Food bank. I dropped 60 pounds since March. I always skip breakfast. Sometimes I barely even have a lunch, get home and eat whatever there is for dinner. I'm always tired. They put others down. Or the opposite. People who seemingly are always available, and put way too much stock on normal conversations. Their need to constantly flaunt themselves and their possessions. Bragging about how much they spent on things. Like, WTF? Always shit talking other people, no matter what. Always gossiping about others. They sleep all day. The only time they are awake is to work. Only because if they didn't work they would lose everything. A withdrawn nature, with a shy kindness when spoken to. Timid people tend to have scars. They yell at fast food workers. Endlessly posting all day, every day, on social media. Being overly concerned about what others do with themselves. Their conversations are majority complaints. I think most of my friendships are based on 80% mutual complaining. Always hyper aware of their surroundings. That hyper awareness stems from necessity, usually from a not good situation. My wife couldn't understand why I always got so irritated at people's lack of awareness of their surroundings, particularly in grocery stores. It dawned on me that I grew up in a pretty dangerous environment where being unaware could get you hurt. Most people didn't grow up with that experience, thus it's easy for them to live in their own little world oblivious to the people around them.